back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. My name is Luz, and today's video I'm going to share with you my top 10 things that I've learned while living in Kansas. If you have been following me for a while, you know that I moved to Kansas exactly a year ago. I previously lived in Las Vegas, Nevada for a year, and I grew up in Southern California as well as a few years in Mexico. So I can tell you the 10 things that I've learned while living in Topeka, Kansas, and how I feel about it. Before I get started on the video, I do want to do a quick disclaimer. I moved to Topeka, Kansas, and I live in the west side of Topeka, Kansas. So what I say, in my opinion, is based on the area that I live in. I don't venture out to any other towns. There's a lot of small towns around here that I have not ventured out to. So my opinions are based on where I'm living, my circumstances, my age, my family, and the children that I have. So please take it with a grain of salt. If I offend you or offend anybody in this video, I do apologize. That is not my intention. I just want to share what I've learned and my experience of living in this beautiful state. So if you're interested in how I feel about moving to Kansas and what my thoughts are about this beautiful state, then keep on watching. Having lived in Kansas for 1 year, I noticed that there's not a lot of extra, meaning I don't see a lot of fashionistas. I don't see people being creative with their styling and their wardrobe and their makeup. It seems like everybody's pretty much very basic and stuck on jeans and a t-shirt, which can be a simple way of living. But I would like to see a little bit more creativity. Maybe this is just because of the area I live in. Maybe it's just the part of town I live in, or maybe this is just all across the board. I feel like 1 year is not enough to get to know the entire city, especially when you work from home. But I feel like every time I go to the mall or I go out, there's not a lot of diversity, and sometimes I feel like I'm the one sticking out. Now that just could be me being self-conscious, but I feel like I'm a little extra, and I never thought that before. I always felt like I was the basic one. But here, because I put on a lot of makeup and I dress different, I'm considered to be extra. I would love to see, like I said, more creativity in wardrobe, creativity in fashion, creativity in hairstyles and makeup. It's a way to express yourself, and I'd rather be extra if that means conforming to the stereotype of living here. I kid you not, one time we went out to eat dinner and we had to sit at the bar because there was no seats, and this man literally sat across from us like in a diagonal, and he kept staring at me. Now, I felt so self-conscious about it because I don't know if he was staring at me because he thought I was looking cute or because I looked like a clown. I had piled on a lot of makeup that day, so I think it was the latter. But you don't see that here on an everyday basis. I feel like people do dress up for special occasions, but not for an everyday type of thing. People just stick to what's comfortable, and there's nothing wrong with that. People are so friendly here in Kansas, not just in the street and in the groceries, but at schools and libraries. They greet you with a smile, they always say hello, and you never feel like you're bothering them. Something I've experienced in a lot of public schools in California and Nevada is that the administration is kind of rude and unfriendly. They don't seem approachable. When you go in, you seem like you're bothering them. And if they speak like that to the parents, how do they speak to our children? Here in Kansas, every time I go into the administration building for my children's school, I'm greeted so friendly and so welcoming. When you go into a public library, they greet you with a hello and take the time to give you a smile. Something else that I learned while living here has been that the weather likes to play games. Although it's nice to have 4 seasons and actually see the leaves falling in the fall, the flowers blooming in the spring, hot summers, and snow in the winter, this weather is crazy. There can be drastic changes within the weather in one whole day. It can go from 60 degrees to the 20s in one day, even within a matter of hours. Also, since I've been here, it snowed on Halloween and it snowed on Easter. Who would have thought that? Because of the weather changes and because this weather can basically be crazy, you don't really dress for fashion. You dress for comfort and warmth. I used to put on scarves because they were cute and fashionable, but now I have to wear scarves because I need it to keep warm. Another thing I've learned about living here is that there's so much space. There is so much land out here. So that means little to no traffic. Hello! If you're from Southern California, you know how traffic is. But out here, you don't see a lot of traffic, at least not where I live. And also, there's so much room. Your houses, you can have huge houses with lots and lots of land. Most of the houses out here come with the basement, so that you can furnish into an extra bedroom or even a family room. If you're looking for land, Kansas is the place to find it. Care for a pop? Yeah, I said pop. People use the word pop instead of soda. I've only seen that in movies until I moved here. I'll take one anyway. This was my favorite. If it's one thing I absolutely love, it's the smell of fresh air in the morning. As soon as you walk out, you're hit with this immense smell of wet dirt. Personally, it's one of my favorite scents. It's that fresh, wet dirt, foresty type of scent. It just invigorates you and you feel connected to nature. You hear the birds chirping. It makes me want to spend time outdoors, although the weather's not always nice to spend outdoors. That is one of the best scents I've ever smelled, and it is such a beautiful thing in the morning, just to invigorate you and wake you up with that beautiful morning rainfall scent. There truly isn't much to do here besides outdoor activities and sports. There's not a lot of entertainment. Growing up in Southern California, you're bombarded with so many different attractions, from Disneyland, Universal Studios, to many concerts and many different venues to go out and have fun, many different malls. Here, our mall has a very limited amount of stores. There isn't many of the major department stores, and if there was before, they've shut down. I don't find that hard to believe, especially because I know that internet shopping is such a major thing. But I wasn't expecting it to be as bad as it is. A lot of the restaurants close so early, and there's not a lot of options. Obviously, you have your standard fast food places such as McDonald's, Burger King, and so on. But I miss In-N-Out. There's no In-N-Out here, and I miss going to the mall and having different options for stores to shop in. If you want to go to a mall that has all the department stores and everything from Sephora to Macy's, you have to go to Kansas City, which is about an hour away. And I am not about to go sit in the car for an hour to go shopping. It could be a day adventure to go out and spend the time in Kansas City, but for me, it's just not something that's readily available. Online shopping has been my best friend, and now I see why the internet has taken over all the shopping and causing a lot of the stores to close down at the mall. Literally, a lot of the stores have closed down. Besides just having a movie theater and bowling alleys, what is it that the youth are supposed to do for fun? I feel like they should have options for teenagers to go out and hang out, since the mall isn't one of them. Gotta think about that also. The mall is not just a place to shop, but a place to gather and have fun, especially for the teenagers. I remember that was the thing to do back in the day. I don't know in the future what is gonna be the thing for them to do, especially in somewhere like this. I wish there was more entertainment options out here that can be safe and fun at the same time. With that being said, now I know why sports is such a big deal. Everything from football, baseball, basketball, children at a very young age are encouraged to participate in sports. It's a huge deal around here. People become so obsessed with sports here, it's not even funny. There's that whole KU versus K-State rivalry, and people take it seriously. But sports is such a fundamental part of living here in the Midwest, particularly in Kansas. High school basketball players flock from all over the United States to come and play for the very well-known KU basketball team. It seems like if it's not one sport, it's another. The children are prepped and primed to become the best athletes that they could possibly be. Not only if your child plays a sport, you watch sports 24/7. In this house, sports is a major thing. Whether it be basketball, baseball, or football, there's always a game on TV and people are ready to watch it. Also, people are really big into college sports. I know sports are big all across the United States. But when I grew up in Southern California, I would hear about the Lakers, the Angels, and the Dodgers. These are pro sports. Here they focus a lot on college sports as well as high school sports. It's just a thing to do. When you don't have nothing else to do, I guess you have to find something like this to keep our kids busy, which I really do like. So I'm hopping on that bandwagon and having my kids introduced to sports at a young age, so that way they can build their confidence, and if they don't like it in the future, at least it gives them something to do besides playing on their iPad all day. When it comes to having a family-friendly environment, Topeka is the place to be at. There's so many activities to do, such as sports, Boy Scouts, fishing, hunting, and a lot of extracurricular activities for the children to participate in. Raising my kids here has been a pleasure. Everything from the school system to the neighborhood and everywhere around me feels like it is encouraged for raising a family. They say it takes a village, and in all honesty, it truly does. This community has allowed for me to have the confidence in knowing that my child is going to be safe and surrounded by people who care about putting family first. I've noticed that there's not a lot of diversity here. I grew up in Southern California, and the city specifically that I grew up in is called Santa Ana, and that is a majority Hispanic neighborhood, or majority Hispanic community, or majority Hispanic town. Now, living here in Topeka, Kansas, at least the area that I live in, it is a majority white neighborhood. So the diversity here is completely different than the diversity in California. As to when I lived in Las Vegas, you can see people from all over the world, different skin colors, different traditions, different cultures. In the school that my kids go to here in Kansas, they are one of the few colored students. There's not a lot of Hispanics. It is predominantly a white town, at least a part of town that I live in. As with any city, I think that there is areas that are divided differently. For instance, in Los Angeles, you can see a very multicultural area, and it is very different. When you divide it into subsections, you will see that some areas are mostly Hispanic and some areas are predominantly white. I feel like it's the same way here, but in a smaller setting. So I know that there is a very large Hispanic community, just not in the area where I live in. So when I say that I don't see a lot of diversity, I mean in the area that I currently am living at, there's not a lot of diversity, and it could be a good thing or a bad thing. I remember growing up, like I said, I grew up in a very Hispanic community with very, very little amount of white people in our neighborhood or even black people in our schools. It kind of sheltered me to thinking that that's the way it is all over the world. I knew as I grew up that that's not the way it is all throughout the United States, but in that moment I thought that that's how it was all over the United States. But no, there is so different here. Even though I am not white, I don't ever feel like people are being racist against me, or I haven't had a time where I can say, oh, I was discriminated because of my color. That has never happened to me here. but I can tell you that the diversity here is a little too none. So I hope you enjoyed the top 10 things I learned in 1 year of living in Kansas. If you did like this video, please do not forget to subscribe. I have many more videos, including lifestyle, beauty, and fashion. And if you want to keep on watching any of my other videos, you can click here or here. Thank you so much for watching. I love you and stay blessed.